Hey everyone, welcome back to Redbanditracing. Welcome back to the channel. We got the X-MAXX here, and as you can see, we're going to be doing some shock adjustment. What we're going to do is we're going to install some new springs. This is part number 7856, and the spring rate on this one is 1.346. So this is one step above stock, which is part number 7766, and that's 1.05 or 1.055 spring rate. So this is one step up. This is the blue. It does have the blue marking on the coil. Now this I wanted to do because the stock weight in these is 30, and that's really low. This thing's really soft, and when you're going to go out bashing it and hitting the ramp, we're going to need to stiffen that up, especially if I'm going to be doing tricks, bicycles, and stuff like that. I'm not going to be racing this. This setup right now is, I think, great for racing. I could not flip this thing over. It's at such plush landing. It's really, really smooth, which I'm happy with. But if we're gonna go bash it, that's not gonna last. It's gonna chassis slap and more than likely break something. We're gonna go from the stock 30 weight to 80. I know that's a big jump, but we're gonna try it because you know what? We experiment, we see what works, we see what doesn't work. So we're gonna increase the spring rate, and I wanna explain to you why. If you put too thick of fluid in your shock, there's a possibility of the oil not compressing quick enough, and then you can start damaging things. Like you could break a piston, you can bend one of your shock rods, and you don't want that to happen. So you have to complement the fluid with your springs, and a lot of people don't do that, I think. So we're gonna put one step up on the spring. We're gonna more than double the weight, and then we're gonna go take it for a rip because we got the first bashing coming up. We got some batteries charging, and that'll be in another video. But in this video, it's strictly just servicing the shocks and making sure everything looks right and working right. I have not taken this thing apart, so this is my first time. I'm learning with you guys again. Let's get right into it. And before I forget, we are going to be doing some hinge pins. This is RPM's hinge pins, part number 7070510. Now, these are to help capture the hubs. They're supposed to go, only 4 of them come in a package. They're only supposed to go on the bottoms. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to order one more set. I'm going to do the top rears along with the inners. So I'm going to order maybe 2 more sets. I want to make sure that they're all captured because those are a weak point from what I hear. Now, by capturing them on both sides, that's going to strengthen the amount of blow that these can take when landing and taking big hits. So we're going to do that, get this thing upgraded a little bit, and then in a later video, you guys are going to check it out. We're going to take it for a rip. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shocks off. Now, these are the same part number, front and rear. The only difference is the pins. And by the pins, I mean, put on the side right here, the pins that go through the top shock mount and the bottom shock mount are different lengths. I believe the top are longer than the bottom. So it's gonna be hard to mix those up, but that's just a good side note that they are different sizes. But the shocks themselves are the same size. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna take one off to show you. And then we're gonna go ahead and take the rest off camera. Now this is gonna be a little bit hard to angle. Let me lift it up. If you guys can see here, there we go. If you can see here, there's a screw right here that helps hold in that pin. So you're gonna wanna take these screws out, and then you're gonna wanna push those pins out. So it's a little bit different than the Max where it's just a screw. So we're gonna pull those out and then get all these taken out. Now this is gonna be your 2.0. So let's go ahead and take these out. I'm going to separate the front from the rear. So all I did was take the bottom out, as you guys can see. Now I may get a pick. I am not sure. Let's see how this comes out. Yep, see right there. And a pin comes right out. Let's check out the bottom. Bottom is the same way. Pin comes right out, and let me check. Okay, yeah, so the bottom is longer, and looks like the screws are also a different size. So let me take the other one out because I want to see which one was which. I did not see that. All right, so the top screws, if you guys see that, the top screws are longer than the bottom. So just keep that in mind for top and bottom. I'm going to keep these separated so I know which is which. If you guys can see that, let me move the camera on. I am using my CalRC mat. This mat is amazing. These really are a lifesaver, especially when you're doing a lot of work on your RC cars. It helps keep everything really organized. So these are probably my favorite mats. All right, so we'll take the shock out, falls right out. So let's go ahead and get the other one out just so I can show you. Here we go. Got that one out. You can't see. There we go. Get that out. Wow, these fall right out, guys. I like that design. I like that design a lot more than all the other ones. That's really cool. Now, the stand that I'm using is the Traxxas stand, but it's not meant for the X trucks, the 5th scale trucks. Call them X trucks. I am going to get that stand eventually. That way I can work on it. But if you don't have the tires on it, that other stand works fine. It supports it just fine. So let me go and rip the rear off and we'll continue. Got them taken out. I think what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to spray these off so they're nice and clean before we take them apart, because it's always a good idea to clean them so you don't get any dirt in or around the fluid. So I'm going to go get those cleaned up real quick. All right, so I got them all cleaned up. Now let's go ahead and get taking them apart. All we're going to do is go ahead and take these screws out. There you go, just yank them out. Now we're going to pull the spring back so we can get that bottom retainer off. Off comes the spring. So we're going to put the spring aside because we're no longer going to be using these. So I'm going to put them aside. All right, and now since I have them off, I'm going to go ahead and wipe them down again just to make sure I get all of it off. Well, you know what? I didn't notice that. So these have a seal on the bottom. I don't know if you guys saw that. It just popped right off. Look at that. Wow, that's kind of cool. I actually kind of like that design. That's nice. All right, so we got that. Let's go and pull the next one off. Same thing. It helps to push it down on something. There we go. Pop that retainer off. Get that spring out of there. Same thing. Wipe this one down. You want everything nice and clean when you're servicing your shocks. Even though this truck is literally brand new. We only took it on for one run, and that was the unboxing. You guys should definitely go check that video out. All right, got that one. I'm gonna go do the rest of them real quick. All right, now that they're cleaned up, I'm gonna go ahead and drain the fluid. So I got my little fluid bin right here. I'm gonna take these. They shouldn't be on that tight. Carefully unscrew them. Make sure the shock is all the way down. There we go. Take the fluid. Pour it in there. As much as you can. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it upside down on a rag right here. I'm going to let the rest of it drain out. Now, because these are brand new, I'm not worried about getting all the fluid out. I'm just going to get most of it out and then continue on. Now, if you're servicing it because it's been a while, then I would highly recommend make sure you clean these shock tubes out and get all that, because there's probably a lot of dirt in there from running over time. So you're going to want to get all that nice and clean. So now I'm going to carefully wedge my finger in there so I can get the diaphragm out, or bladder as they call it. And that's it. Make sure if you're using a pick, be really careful with your pick. I usually use my thumb. I pry it back a little bit and then I grab under it. That way I don't damage anything, because you don't want to damage these seals. Make sure that's clean. Make sure your bleeder hole is clean right here, which it is, nice and clean. So we're going to put that aside. Let's go ahead and take the next one, see what the next one looks like. All right. Put that upside down. Diaphragm, so pull it back with your finger. And just carefully pop it out. You do not want to put a hole in this, otherwise you're going to have to replace them, because they will bleed out. Make sure that bleeder hole has nothing in it. Otherwise the air won't escape. All right, let me get the other ones done real quick. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get the first one. Make sure it's nice and clean. Now, if you press up on this, you can see the piston. Now, what I've seen a lot of guys do, you can see it right there maybe. A lot of guys do, if they're trying to strengthen the shock pressure, they'll put a screw in one of those holes or clean them up really well and super glue them shut. That's a great way to do it if you just want to buy new pistons. M2C, Hot Racing. I mean, there's a lot of brands out there that make pistons. I think even Body Armor makes them. So you can do that if you want, if you're looking for more pressure, and that's a great way to do it. We're not going to do any of that today. The main thing we're going to do is we're just going to fill it. Let's grab our fluid here. And this is TLR, Team Lucy Racing. As long as it's 100% silicone, that's all that really matters. So we're going to pour this in. about halfway, a little more than halfway. We're going to work the piston up, but don't go above the fluid. And then pull it down. This is definitely thicker fluid. And pull it down. You're going to keep working it up and down, just like that. Then we're going to pull it down, and we're going to put it aside. Now, the reason why I don't fill it all the way up and then put it aside, because if you fill it all the way to the top, like I've said in the past, those air bubbles have to travel all the way up the shock tube to escape. Now, if you only fill it about halfway and get all the air out of the bottom, the air only has to escape halfway the length of the tube, which makes bleeding a lot quicker. Then you can just top it off and go and continue on putting your caps on. So I'm going to put this one aside, my little holder over here. I'm going to get the next one. Same thing, I'm going to clean the threads off on the top. I'm actually really interested to know how many of these tubes it takes, which these I believe are 5 ounce. No, these are 2 ounce. These are only 2 ounce tubes, bottles of fluid. They didn't have any, I think it's the 5. They didn't have any of the 5. I think that would have made this a lot better instead of buying a bunch of these little ones. All right, so we're going to keep working that. Just like that. Now we're going to put that one aside. And this one's just about out. We're going to leave this one upside down, see if we can't get a little bit more out of it. Let's go ahead and grab another container. The last one had some air bubbles in it. The first one and this one, no air bubbles. Okay, we're gonna put that aside. Let's get our last one here. A lot of air in that one. Yep, that one took a little bit more, so we're gonna put a little bit more in there. I think the bigger shocks, it's not going to hurt if you can't get 100% of the air out because of how big these shocks are. But the little ones, let's say the Ultra shocks, which I don't like at all, or the GTR, which are pretty decent shocks, those you really do have to make sure you get all the air out of them, because that little bit of air makes a lot of difference. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to let those sit for about 5 minutes, and then we'll be right back. All right, let's grab our first shock here. It's been sitting. All right, let's get some fluid, and we're going to fill that just about the top. Now, I've seen a lot of guys, they just leave this fully extended. That way there's no preload. I personally don't use preload anymore. I used to when we were first doing the Rustlers, but ever since we got the Maxes, I took that away because we wanted as much shock as possible. So I've seen a lot of guys just leave it down. I think that's what we're going to try. So we're going to put that down. Now we're going to take one of our seals here. Make sure you guys have a rag on hand because you might spill some. We're going to put that right over the top. And you're going to get a little bit of spillage right there. And that's okay. That's why you don't want to fill it too far to the top. I probably put a little bit too much in right there. Actually, let me make sure the sides are cleaned up because I put a lot in there. Yeah, that's a little better. Put it right on top. Now we're going to take our cap. Carefully put our cap on. Carefully screw it down. I'll check out that bleeder hole right there. Looks like a battery's done. Carefully screw it down. Really easy to cross thread these. I've never done it, but you can. Here comes the air. Wipe that off. Just a little more. That's good. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Make sure it's tight. Oh, that's perfect. Comes down a little bit. That's perfect. So take the top, tighten it down, but don't over crank it. You don't need it too tight. Put the shock collar all the way up. The reason why you want to put the shock collar all the way up is because when you put the new springs on, you want as much as possible so you can really grab that spring and pull it down. So put that all the way up. We are going to put the anodized aluminum ones on eventually because I don't like the plastic ones. The plastic ones are known to wind themselves back up. The anodized ones have a rubber O-ring on the inside, and that kind of helps to hold their place. So let's go ahead and do one more. So I'm going to fill that back up just to there. I think that was enough. Yeah, that one was perfect that time. I think I overfilled the first one. Put that cap on best you can. There we go. Here we go. That's some nice air coming out right there. You want to see that air coming out. That's how you know you filled it properly. Because if you don't see anything coming out, you don't hear anything coming out, you probably didn't put enough fluid in it. All right, that's good. Now I'm going to crank it down. That's good. All right, that's really nice. All right, crank that down. Put that shock collar all the way up. And there we go. Let me do the other 4 and I'll be right back. All right, all those are nice and clean. If you guys are wondering how much fluid I took 1, 2, 2.5, which I thought I was going to take all 4 of these. So that's actually pretty good. I was kind of worried it was going to take a lot. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get our new springs here. So I'm going to keep the package in decent condition, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the other springs back in these packages and change the part number on it. That way I know which ones these are. All right, you've got our new springs here. Really simply, let's go and throw them on. Put them on just like that. Take your bottom retainer. Just like that. You do that to all 4 of them. I'm really interested to see how much of a difference this is going to make. I noticed that the suspension was so plush that I couldn't do a bicycle because I couldn't get the truck to rotate on its side. So I'm hoping this will change it. I like keeping the colors on the top, so I'm going to do that. Actually, I think they're on both sides, so it doesn't matter. All right, so got those on. Go ahead and put our screws back in. All right, got all those on. Got them all rebuilt. That should make quite a big difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and put them down some. I don't know how far down I'm going to go, but I'm probably going to go halfway. I'm going to go about there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure they're equal on all 4. And depending on how it rides, when I go take it for a little test rip, that's where I'm going to start doing my adjustments. What you want to do is line them up. Just like that. And you want to make sure that they're exactly the same. All right, now let's do these. If you have one of the Traxxas repair mats or a black rubber mat, what you can do is leave the shock on the mat about, I would say like 30 minutes to an hour, just enough time to where you can check the mat, see if it left any black spots, because that's when you know that it's been leaking. And that's what's good about that darker rubber. You can't do it on these mats, but the other ones you can. You can do that for your diffs. Make sure your diffs aren't leaking. It's a good indication to find a leak. So, all right, now that we got those all done, let's go and throw them back in. All right, so I'm going to do the fronts real quick. Now, just note the breather hole. Have it facing the rear of the car, because if you're going forward, a lot of dirt and dust is going to hit that. You don't want that to clog up. Have them facing backwards. It's just a nice little tip to keep things clean. We're going to go and put this in. Hope you guys can see that. No, you cannot. I'm going to try my best, guys, because this truck is really big. All right, so right there, really simple. Put that in, put the pin in, you're done. Go to the bottom. Same thing. Let's see, right there. Put the pin in, and you're good. Make sure that pin is all the way in there flush. That's it. Let's go and get our driver. Remember, the top one is the longer screw. Oops. Top one is the longer screw. That's also what I love about this mat. Magnetized. So it does capture a lot of screws. All right, put that one on the top. Here we go. Throw this one on the bottom. Just like that. And there you go. Got one of the front ones. Let's do one of the backs, and I'll do the rest off camera. Put that in there just like that. Grab the one pin. Push it all the way in. Go to the bottom. Here you go. Long screw on the top. Short one on the bottom. I really like this design. God, another reason to love the X-MAXX. All right, those are in. Let me go throw the back ones in real quick and we'll check it out. All right, I'm all done with the shocks. Those definitely feel stiffer. That's gonna make a big, big difference. That's gonna be real nice. So now, let's go ahead and put the hinge pins in. Let's go and open this up and see what kind of instructions are in here. Because I believe you do have to do a little bit of drilling. So I wanna double check. Let's get these parts out. It's gonna come with 4 pins and 4 nuts with a little bit of Teflon in, locking nuts. Got some more stickers. Let's see here. GS025 replacement. Please note, replacement pins use smaller M3 lock nuts versus the stock M4. Yada, yada, yada. All right, this is what we're gonna have to follow. It says, when used with the X-MAXX, some minor modifications are required for RPM threaded hinge pins to work with either stock Traxxas RPM arms using a number 22 drill, 4mm. Careful to remove the small shoulder. You have to cut the holes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if we do have to drill, we're gonna have to use a 22 or a 4mm drill. So I kind of figured that. So let's go ahead and angle this a little bit. That works perfectly just like that. Let's go ahead and take this side out. That way you guys can see it right here. So we're gonna take our 2.0. We're gonna take that out. Now what we're gonna do is go on the other side and we're gonna push that out. Just like that. Let's see how this one fits. Okay, that does fit through there and through here. So it does fit through the arm and it does fit through the knuckle. It is not going to fit though through the back end. And the reason is because the back end is actually blocked off. That way this pin, this rod doesn't go all the way through. So this is the side that we're going to have to modify. So let's grab a 4mm bit. All right, so that looks like a 5/32. So we're going to take the 5/32, put them on our drill. And what we're going to do is we're going to drill the back one out. Let's see if it actually goes through now. Actually still doesn't go all the way through. Just going to put this pin in as a test. Yeah, it doesn't go all the way through. Let's make sure we went all the way through on this. There we go. Now it goes all the way through. You just had to go back and forth, get all the extra plastic out of there. All right, so now that that's out, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put the nut on the back side because I'd rather have the hex in the front just in case it gets hit hard. So we're gonna go ahead and put that all the way through. You may have to move it around. To press it just like that. Now that that's in, we're gonna put our nut on. And there is no need for any kind of Loctite, but you know what? I always put Loctite anyways. Even though those are locking, I still have issues with this stuff coming loose. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on the threads right there. Probably don't need it, but I think I'm being safe than sorry. All right, put a nut on that end. Found myself an Allen. So this is gonna be a 3mm. So that's gonna be a 3mm. And the back is a 5.5 for the nut. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold that tight. And we're gonna make sure that that's nice and tight. Make sure there's no binding, just like that. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that for the rear. Try and angle it the best I can so you guys can see it from there. All right, so same thing with the back. I'm gonna take the original pin out, push it through the front, just like that. Pop that out, take our drill. Work it back. Now your dog bone is gonna pop out and that's okay. Just pop it right back in. We're gonna take our pin, put it all the way through. Again, I'm gonna put just a little bit of Loctite on there. I call it just a little bit of assurance. I had to do that on the sledge where I had to Loctite all the hinge pins because that one does have hinge pins. Capture pins is what they call them, because they still came loose. I'd rather them not come loose at all. All right, so get this tightened up. Get that nice and tight. There we go. Remember, this is a 3mm hex, and this right here is your 5.5mm wrench. So that's it for that. Those are on. I'm gonna throw the other side on real quick, and we'll be right back. All right, as you can see, I got those on, got those looking good. So that's really gonna help out. And just a better way to explain this, let me get you guys right here on the rear, just so you can see it. Now the reason why the guys are doing this is because when this thing takes a hit, because this is the back, this thing's taking a hit, the front pin, I believe, is the strong one. This is the strong side where this pin goes in and locks in, but the back side is where it's weak. It's got nothing in the back to really support it. It's just hollowed out a little bit to hold the pin. So by doing this, this actually strengthens both sides and makes it more durable. So that's why everyone's doing it. I am gonna get the same set, do the top, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the inner because that really helps when you do the top. So I'm gonna get those ordered. You can't do it on the front, and the reason why you can't do it on the front, if you can see this, yes, if you can see this, because of where this turns right here, like that, you can't put it because this arm almost touches the top arm. The knuckle almost touches the top arm, so you can't put hinge pins on the top. You can, but you may have to modify it a little bit more so you can actually get your full turning radius. I personally am not gonna do it. I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. I think doing the tops and the bottoms and then the rears are gonna be just enough to strengthen this truck up. All right, guys, that'll do it. Got the hinge pins on, got the new shock coils, 80 weight shock fluid, got the body armored up. This thing's ready to roll. This is much, much, much stiffer. That's gonna work out well. The only way to test it though is to go give it a rip. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Everything used will be down in the description. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment. Stay tuned. We got a speed test coming up, a full bash coming up. And you guys tell me, we still plan on doing our city clash. We've already done one of the events. We're making sure that we have enough drivers to make it more entertaining for you guys. If you guys want to see this in the clash, leave a comment down below. Let us know. I'm not sure that'll be fair. I think this will do good on freestyle, but as far as racing goes with the stiffer suspension, I'm really not sure. I haven't driven this truck enough, but let us know. Let us know what you guys want to see with it. We got a couple videos coming out. We got some repair videos. I am going to be taking the front, rear, and center diff out, check the fluids, and see how that goes. I bet you they're all low. We're going to make sure they're packed, make sure the truck's ready to run. And yeah, I'm really excited. This came out really well, and I think this is going to be a great basher for the channel. So remember, check out our Patreon, go check out our Instagram page, make sure you follow, and of course, like and subscribe to this video. See you guys on the next one.